One of the key features of discourse historical approach is its discursive strategies, which are employed in various discourses to convey a certain point of view. It is generally believed that DHA thrives on these strategies because most of the DHA analysis would involve the decoding or analysis of these strategies in particular texts which are being investigated, and then it will bring forward certain results to the readers. I'll just mention few important strategies here. One of the most important strategies is of nomination. Nomination looks into various titles or names which are given to certain characters, participants, events, or any other social actors in a particular text, and it tries to answer the question that how are certain persons, objects, phenomena, events, processes, and actions are named or referred to linguistically in the discourse under question. So in this way, the researcher tries to answer the question that why certain names, titles, or linguistic attributions have been given to certain characters or events in a particular text which is being investigated. In order to elaborate this further, I would like to give an example. For example, if in a text a particular political leader, a democratic leader, is named as king, or what we call Badshah in Urdu, so what do you think? Would it be a kind of enhancement of his image, or is it a kind of critique or irony on his role as a political leader? Well, this may be interpreted differently, but this seems to have special meaning in a particular democratic context where a political leader, a democratic leader, is being named as king. So why is he being named as king is something which needs to be answered through discourse historical approach. And in order to answer that, you will need to look into the history of that particular leader, or the history of the particular discourse about such events or characters in that particular democratic setup. Then predication is other strategy which focuses on the discursive characterization of social objects, actions, or persons, actors, etc. And this construction may be positive or negative, and why this kind of predication is made is something to be answered through various questions in a typical discourse historical approach analysis. For example, what characteristics or qualities are attributed to certain social objects or characters in a typical text? Then the next strategy is argumentation. It's about persuading addressees for the validity of a specific truth or some kind of normative rightness. I mean, in order to persuade people in various discourses, political leaders, commentators, writers, they present certain arguments. How far those arguments are, in what ways those arguments have been presented, and how far they support a certain truth, or it claims some kind of normative rightness, the rightness in a certain situation which may not be absolutely true but may be acceptable in certain situations. So what kind of persuasion has been employed in a certain text, and what kind of history that persuasion has in that kind of text is an important strategy to investigate text under critical historical approach. And then perspectivization is another strategy which focuses on positioning speakers' own or writers' own point of view in a typical text. How a close writer has put himself to the point of view which is being presented in a certain text, or how much distance he has shown from that perspective, is something which we investigate through this strategy of perspectivization. And then finally, there can be many other strategies, but I am just mentioning the important one. We have the strategy of mitigation and intensification, which focuses on modifying the illocationary force of utterances in respect to their epistemic and deontic status. What kind of hidden message has been conveyed? Illocationary force mean the message which is embedded in the text, which it may not be clear or overt in the text. It's, for example, if we just look into the literal meaning of the words, the message may be different, but what is being conveyed may be in form of an irony or hidden message. It may be different. So these strategies, mitigation and intensification, looks into those hidden messages or illocationary force of a text and looks into that is the message clear, obvious, or hidden. Moreover, it also looks into that the issue through this kind of use of overt and covert strategies, the issue has been intensified or it has been mitigated. So what is being framed for the public? What writer or speaker intends to bring forward or and make it prominent for the public? So mitigation and intensification are very important strategies when we look at the overall message or certain important messages in a text. I would also like to share in the end that these strategies are used has been used by other authors also, and they have been named differently by different authors. For example, they have been named as framing, as foregrounding, backgrounding, also according to the choice of various authors working in the field of CDA.